and what the basis for that relationship is. Yeah. And it turns out that because shunya or space, we called it space to make it more easily um, kind of approachable or accessible in English, but really it's called shunya. Shunya would mean void. Void of what? Void of activity. And because we are in the shunya, we have a relationship. And the only way in which we can be balanced or fulfilled, contented within, is to be able to live with trust. Not only that, we find that trust is most naturally acceptable to me and acceptable to the other person also. And even today, the world runs on trust. Although we like to believe that there is a lot of mistrust, we're trusting everything all the time. It's very rarely that we are actually living with mistrust. We're trusting each other, we're trusting, people back home. So, really, if you see, trust or Vishwas is a very Vyapak Mulya. It's one that is it's spread out everywhere. We trust the fact that we'll be alive tomorrow, which is why we go to sleep today. We trust the fact that when I sleep tonight, I will be able to wake up tomorrow, and so on. So really, trust was like a foundation value that we saw, and we also saw that along with trust, how I interact with people, how I see people makes a difference. So if we were to, because we're kind of familiar with this uh, diagram here, I will, yeah. So our little four boxes are back to where they were 4 days ago, without all the. And really, what did we see? Very simple. I understood myself. I understood all of existence. So the essential form of material and human beings was also a part of existence. So in behavior with humans, I have family and friends, which are just outside family, and the extended family, which is the kutumba, and I have society. So this forms the spectrum of my living. I'm living with the body, I'm living with things outside, I'm living with the family, I'm living with society. I also exist inside within myself. Yeah. So what is conduct? Conduct would mean, what do you conduct? You say this person has a good conduct. You remember back in school they would say good conduct, bad conduct. Remember that in that calendar? My character blue, that blue diary, that horrible diary. Mine used to be always red. My blue diary was always red inside. The teacher would have given some remarks. Doesn't listen in class, does not pay attention in class, talks, disturbs other students. These are the things that used to be written. Once in my class, because I kept talking at the back, she put a chair here and made me sit facing the wall. And then I would turn back and try to talk to the guy in the first row. So my mother was called to school every day, every year, from grade 1 to grade 10. And I remember fights happening at home between my parents saying, who will go to school this time? Last time I went, this time you go. I would never have imagined I would be taking a lesson on what is human conduct, 20 years from then. Quite ironical. Yeah. I just suddenly remembered all these funny things. So, yeah. So my mother would be afraid to send me to on I don't know, some Sunday. It was there was a church inside school, so she would warn me, don't go to church because they'll give you that drink. They give you, what's it called, something. Yeah. Anyways, they'll give you a little bit of wine and everybody dips the bread, that biscuit or bread into the same wine. So my mother had two problems. One was that it was wine. Secondly, it was juta. Everybody's dipping into the same wine. So it's not even not juta wine. So we understand ourselves because that is the first entity we encounter when we start living, which is ourselves. And everything that's happening is happening inside me. And we have to understand existence because I'm a product of existence and we live in existence. And in order to discover my conduct, I have nowhere else to go but to look at nature and at existence. Who is going to tell me what is the right way to be? Yeah, either the scriptures tell me, or I follow my parents, or I follow society. That is the only options I have. Or some kind of intuition in me saying this is wrong and this is right. Yeah, oftentimes we are told certain things in family, but we intuitively reject it. We say, no, this is not the right thing to do. Yeah, one of the instances, like I told you, my, a very close family member's daughter suddenly turning vegetarian in the US. I'm not saying that everybody should, but I'm taking that instance to show how somebody who has grown up in a particular culture can suddenly feel something is wrong and kind of say, I will not do this anymore. So there's something in us that wants to do the right thing. There is something in us that wants us to live the right way. And if we were to look at it from an absolute standpoint, saying what is the absolute correct way for a human being to live, the absolute universal human, character, how do we find that out? In the same way that we do it for other, things out there on the planet. And what are these dimensions? One dimension is how I am going to be within myself. So the first thing that I do is I apply the brakes. I self regulate, and we saw that as ethics, as bodhik niyam. So this will be one aspect, barabar. So I have to regulate myself, plus there will be certain feelings that I will find within myself. I have to regulate myself socially, okay, and fulfill who? People in family as well as people in society. I have to regulate myself, self regulate myself with nature and fulfill nature. Yeah, similarly, I have to regulate myself within and fulfill myself within. So, this, very simply put, is what leads us to human conduct. Yeah. What is the existentially universal way for self regulation? For living as a human, not to escape living. The law is not to, slowly withdraw myself from the senses, withdraw from family, withdraw from society, withdraw into the self, and then withdraw into whatever, some supreme reality. No. I live in this, I'm a part of this whole. So, how do I regulate myself so I don't disturb myself and people outside? How do I regulate my behavior with people outside? How do I regulate myself with nature? Okay. So, this regulation is called, and we've already seen this. So, remember, this is just a summary of what we've discussed since yesterday. This was called Bodhik Niyam. Asangraha, Sneha, Vidya, Saralta, and Abhay. Non stealing, remember, non accumulation, erudition, honesty. So, these are values that I will inculcate and practice because when I lie, there is something in me that tells me you're lying. If not at that time, a little later. If not, then it's after 5 years. Correct? And people outside me believe I'm telling the truth. Nobody wants to talk to somebody who lies, even if the guy is a liar himself. नहीं, मैं झूठ बोलता हूँ लेकिन I expect that you tell me the truth. नहीं? So this is self-regulation. This is called Bodhik Niyam. This regulation, behavioral, these are just names, is called Samajik Niyam. It is also called character. What does that mean? My self-regulation with humans is in such a way that I do not disturb their well-being, other humans' well-being. How do I not do that? by being conjugal in marriage, by being conjugal in bodily or sexual relationship, fidelity there. Number two, by not stealing. And number three, by not spreading hatred. Yeah, that's the minimum. So if I do that, then I'm not a nuisance to society. Otherwise, I am a boja on society. I'm taking, but I'm not able to give. यदि मैं चोरी कर रहा हूँ, it means I'm disturbing society. I'm party to producing something that is not beneficial for mankind, then I'm a headache for society. Similarly, I regulate myself with the rest of nature, and that is called prakritik niyam. And here it's easy because nature is already in order. We just have to figure out how to interact with nature without breaking the balance. Not by not disturbing nature, but without breaking that overall balance. So, because we're able to see the overall balance, our production techniques, the way that we individually, collectively, and as a society deal with nature will be in such a way that we do not break that balance. Okay? If I have the regulation in place, I can now see how to fulfill. है ना, एक तो मैंने ब्रेक डाला, रेगुलेशन मार दिया. No, like a regulator, like a fan regulator, right? You have put it in certain boundaries. Now that it is within boundaries, I have to see how I can fulfill the relationship with everybody, and these are really the values that we just studied. Now we look at family and we say, okay, for all humans, what do I have? I have trust, respect, and affection. That sets the tone of how I'm going to fulfill. Uske pehle I'm a headache. If I'm stealing, if I'm into adultery, and if I'm spreading violence, fulfilling to dur ki baat hai na, fulfilling is very far away. I'm actually creating a nuisance. Now I can see how I can fulfill. And now within the family, we saw there were 7 relationships. Remember? Ki no remember, ki don't care. Remember, don't care, I'm too sleepy. 4 options. Remember, don't remember, too sleepy, I don't know what you're saying. Huh? All 4 are valid because all 4 are there in existence. So, don't remember is okay. Recollect, vague memory, something, 7, something, father, mother, brother, sister, kuch to, education, that child, man, those arrows going up and down. Right. So, the 7 relationships, out of which friends are outside and the teacher can come from outside, the colleague co-worker comes from outside. Okay, so this is really the 7 relationships and the 9 plus 9, 18 values in them, 18 feelings. Okay, so this was something that we kind of covered since yesterday. We also have 2 ways to fulfill our relationship with nature, and these are 2 values which we didn't cover. One is called Upyogita Mulya. Upyogita Mulya means utility value, which means I interact with nature based on the utility that it provides. For example, what is the utility or value of water? Water is a natural resource available. All of us need water. 70% of the body is water. What is the utility value of water? To quench thirst. Yeah. It quenches thirst for us and for trees and for everything. So that is the utility value of water. What is the price of water? If it's in the river, 0. If it's in the bottle, it's 15. If the bottle is in a restaurant, it's 25. If it's on the 18th floor of a restaurant, it is 100. And if it is in the air at 36,000 feet, it's 500. So that's price. So price is a different notion, but the value of water remains the same. I drink it here, I drink it in a restaurant, I drink it in the space shuttle. But what it does to my body is really quench the thirst. Yeah, so that is called utility value. The other is called art value. Okay, it's called Kala Mulya. We won't get into the detail, but that will give you an idea of the 2 ways in which we fulfill our living with the material things. So this put together forms our conduct. है ना? How is Sri Ram's behavior? How will it be decided? By what does he do with his father? What does he do with his mother? What does he do with his brother? What does he do with his friends? What does he do when he is a teacher? What does he do at his workplace? How does he behave with the guy that is working on his farm? Number one. Number two, how does he earn his wealth? How does he conduct himself when he's in public places? है And does he stay within the confines of his marriage? बराबर? Plus, what he does for society. ये सब बचने के बाद, if there is time, after doing all this much, if there is still time, what does he do for society? That is called policy. Niti. Niti. It's called naitikta. हाँ, ऑनेस्टी इज द बेस्ट पॉलिसी अंदर आ गया बौद्धिक नियम में, है ना? हाँ, ब्लैक पेन है नहीं, ये जो सेक्शन ब्लू में लिख रहा था, नैतिकता और पॉलिसी फॉर सोसाइटी. व्हाट डज दैट मीन? आई विल पुट टू गुड यूज माय बॉडी, mind and wealth, and I will protect it. In turn, protecting, and by doing that, I end up protecting that of societies. इसका मतलब क्या है? I'm sitting on a pile of cash. I'm done with all this. Now I don't know what to do. I will give it where I think it's going to be of use to others. So I put to good use my wealth. And that pile need not be very big. My pile is this small, so I'm going to give out this part. Your pile is this big, so you'll have to give out this much. Because it became too fat. So the pile became too fat for whatever reason. We all know lab. Suddenly lab is this big. Then you see bottom up. So the oops, this is like 10x of what it should be. Shave it off, give it away. So the darshan has a line. It says, Dhanvan, udarta purvak sukhi hota hai. Who that is wealthy, right? Kaisa sukhi hota? How does he feel better? Not nirantar sukh, but feels better by giving away his wealth, by udarta, by being generous. It says buddhiman, who is wise. Vivek purvak sukhi hota hai, by applying wisdom. Roopwan, a person who is very beautiful. Charitra purvak sukhi hota hai, by maintaining character and not losing character. Balwan, fellow who is strong. Daya purvak sukhi hota hai, by helping others, not by bashing them up. So we have these 5 attributes. We said it is Roop, Bal, Dhan, Pad, Buddhi. And Padwan, who has position, Nyay purvak sukhi hota hai, by using it justfully, by not, abusing the position of power. Okay, so this is called naitikta, right? So, for instance, my the 10 days that I'm putting in here is an effort by me, an attempt by me to practice naitikta. I can't contribute over and above our own expenses to the workshop, okay? But we are capable enough for paying for our own food and our own travel. And we will give our time. So I have invested my mind, whatever, 500 slides, and and using the body to throw the voice, okay? But that's part of the practice. So one practices till one becomes perfect. And perfection here is not just by practice, but with also with knowledge. So this, in summary, in essence, is human character. Okay. So you have Bauddhik Niyam, Samajik Niyam, Prakritik Niyam, 3 things that are regulating me in the 3 directions, and then figuring out how to fulfill people, how to fulfill society, and how to fulfill nature, enrich nature over and beyond. I mean, imagine a planet where humans are able to leave nature better than the way they found it. कितनी बड़ी बात होगी. अभी तो खत्म हो रहा है, but what if we left it cooler and greener. हाँ हाँ बढ़िया हो सकता है हाँ before it goes down. So that in essence is Manmitapun Acharan and very brief summary. And if you recollect, we've covered this, we've covered this. We didn't cover much of this. We did a bit of these three niyam and then we covered some of the relationships. Clear? So this is what we covered. And for the remainder, of course, this is like we call this a Pratmik Parichaya Shivir, like a preliminary introductory workshop. But we did cover more than what we usually do in the preliminary introductory workshop. So if you're feeling, हाँ नहीं करते नहीं नहीं all परिचय शिविर is called प्राथमिक only. They don't use the word प्राथमिक. परिचय ये परिचय शिविर ही है. So if you're feeling heavy, that is totally expected, okay, and not surprising. By the end of the 9 days, if you're feeling, you know, I just thought how I can come and maybe reuse some plastic, and suddenly all this happened. But it is what it is. And as humans, all of us are capable of understanding this, and we need to understand it either this time or the next time. Okay? Huh? Yeah, but we can at least prep for the next time a little bit to make the next journey easier. The memory part will wash out, but the qualitative improvement that happens in the man, vritti, and chit will remain. Like this expansion of the chit. He's relaxed. No, not the events you will not remember. But let us say, we exit without having sakshatkar or whatever. What is going to happen? And if you study this, then our chitran, the chit area has developed. It is now gone all the way up to Vyapak, Brahmand. फैल गया वो. पहले इधर था, गाड़ी घोड़ा मकान बंगला रेस कार है ना, रूलेट टेबल बिटकॉइन है ना, राइट. मेरी बेटी मेरी बीवी मेरा बच्चा is become this big now. So the next time when it encounters this, it's going to say, it's going to, मजा नहीं आ रहा है, there's something off, and then it's going to look, and then it'll find our website. so I'm going to, I keep joking with my friends that, what is it that I'm going to give my daughter? The user ID password to our cloud server. To keep it on and saying, I'm coming back, just hang on to this. Don't let it go. Yeah. 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 होता ही है. I remember there was this boy called Devansh Mittal. Boy, he must be a man now, young guy. But he was a student at IIIT Hyderabad, and they were doing it for the students, and the students didn't want this. I mean, boy who cleared JEE could have gone to an IIT sitting in IIIT Hyderabad. Somebody comes and tells him how to be a good man. We're like, wow, who wants to be a good man? And they all want to do well in their career and earn money and see where to get the BMW from. Somebody comes and says prosperity, and so Devansh goes to a job somewhere in Bombay. He gets a nice job. He goes there, and one day he came back. He just quit his job and came back and said, I want to rejoin the institute and for this. Why? He said, I was sitting in a train. I was going somewhere from Kalyan to this thing, and I don't know what happened. Suddenly, I remembered the workshop after like 6-8 months, and I realized I'm doing all this to become happy, and I don't know how that is going to happen. Suddenly, out of the blue. वो जितना भी information आया, it was kind of whirling in the background, and suddenly it threw out a synthesis, and he came back. Of course, he didn't continue for a variety of reasons. So this is Manmitapun Acharan. So this was the third aspect. So if we look at it, we looked at we said I'll understand myself, the conscious entity. This is called Jivan Gyan. I have to understand existence. This is called Astitva Darshan Gyan. What do I understand in existence? The natural order, the four dimensions of the natural order, and the space between the orders, which is Vyapak Vastu. Okay, that is what we understood. And now, what do I do in this existence? What do I do in this natural order? What do I do with the people? What do I do with the mother in law? That's the participation in living, in human relationships, and in nature relationships. Pretty simple. And this is मानवीयता पूर्ण आचरण ज्ञान. That was humane conduct. हर जगह व्यापक, ये पूरा व्यापक में ही है. And these were the dimensions that we sought to understand from day one. Okay, and we'll see how. Just so you know that the whole entire thing is tied up. So, what was our state, or is our state today? In the material dimension, I'm living with nature. It is uncertain, leads to exploitation, and sometimes enrichment. I'm not saying it fully is zero. With people, uncertain behavior, sometimes acceptable, sometimes not. कभी चलता है, कभी नहीं चलता है. And what is ethical is not defined. सबका ethics अलग है. Ethical here is unethical there. There is no basis to find out what is ethical. So this is the status in our material dimension. This is the status in our behavioral dimension. This is our living. In the self, we have assumptions, beliefs of all of these. Spiritual dimension is mystic, है ना? So what is the solution? In the intellectual and this dimension, you understand coexistence in four aspects. So intellectual and spiritual mila ke understand knowledge of existence and self. So understand coexistence, understand myself. This will help me identify ethics. This is called wisdom, character and laws of living. How will I stay in myself? What is regulation with people? What is regulation with nature? है ना? उधर जो बताया, I'm repeating it here. And then I understand human relationships, I understand natural relationships, and then I live with it. So there are only two programs for the human being. One, understand coexistence. Second, live in coexistence. Understand coexistence and live in. So understand all these dimensions and live in these dimensions. If this becomes my goal, then what do? I will reprioritize my attention, my time, my planning, the way I see my life, everything gets reprioritized. इसके पहले what is the goal? Only here. And money, not even nature. Paisa. है ना? At one point in time, people's goal was to have 10 and 12 and 14 babies. अभी वो भी गया. Like 1, 2, 0. है ना? Minus. Because we are also adopting. At one point in time, that was a great big deal to have as many babies as you can. That was, yeah. So that has also changed. So this is really. So how does that look? What does that look like when we open it up? Knowledge of existence is space, units, and the four dimensions of units. Conscious self, understand the 10 activities, I understand it in myself. I identify ethics in myself. It is intellectual law with people, which is called social law with nature. And I see what are the feelings at various places. So there are four feelings in myself, which is happiness, peace, contentment, and bliss. Sukh, Shanti, Santosh, Anand. There are six values when we live with nature. That is called dhirta, virta, udartata, steadfastness, courageousness, and generosity. We saw that a little bit. Remember, thoda sa, we just gave a jhalak. And there are 9 established values in relationship, like trust, respect, all the way to love, and 9 expressed values, and 2 values with material. All this first has to come inside me. It's not going to happen outside. This is inside me. ऐसा अंदर ही हो रहा है. That's why human being is called Gyan Avastha. Because till we don't figure this out, we can't live. You have to figure this out to be able to live. And now I implement it with people, and that is called humane living. Okay, so this is Astitva Darshan Gyan, Jivan Gyan. This bottom part is called Manvita Purna Acharan Gyan. Love at the last, because we'll get it in the end. That's the final achievement when we evolve. So we'll start with trust, with a glimpse of trust, and then we'll get some affection, respect, and then we'll get some affection, and then we'll get care, and then we'll get gratitude, and then you'll get glory, and then you'll get reverence, and then you'll get vatsalya, you'll be able to teach, and then you'll get love. Yeah, love has basically, if you have love, all the other feelings are included in it. It's not distinct from it. Okay, and why is that? We basically experience love when we are able to directly experience the void or shunya. So that happens in something called bodh. It doesn't happen in the other jivan activities. So when we see that, see as in when we're able to experience or understand the void or shunya, in the traditional text it is called Brahman or Brahma. When that happens, we're able to see that there is no distinction, that it is the same void everywhere. There is a line in the darshan that I can tell you. It's a very beautiful line in Hindi. It says, Antar niyaman mein bodh matra se. Antar niyaman is what is inside me. Vyapak vastu, no? We already say everywhere. But when I'm able to see it myself, it says, Antar niyaman mein bodh matra se. संपूर्ण संसार को एक परिवार के रूप में स्वीकारना बनता है. When I am able to experience this Vyapak inside me, I am able to accept the entire world as one family. Uske pehle it's in imagination. It's on the PPT, it's in our songs, in our doha, in our skit, but it's not inside me. What part of the self? Huh? What part of the self sees the... Two. First the buddhi sees it, and then the atma sees it. So just like the man sees the samosa, the buddhi is able to see the void. Is able to first see the void, ki ye hai, directly. That's called satyabodh. And then the atma finds that I'm actually drenched in this. That is called realization. The atma realizes that I am drenched in it. This is where it deviates from the experience of samadhi. So this is why not tattvamasi, not I am that, I am in that. Not even in that, I am in this because this is in me. And I am also still there. So that happens when we have a jigyasa called Brahma Jigyasa. So there is a book called Anubhav Darshan in the Madhyastashan literature, which is the fourth book in the traditional series of reading. The first line goes, Ab Brahma Jigyasa hai. Huh? So Sat Chit Ananda will happen here. This is Chitta. So Chidananda, Atmananda, Brahmananda. ये समोसानंदा, बैंक अकाउंट आनंदा. ऐसा ही करके ऊपर जाता है. Depending on the, depending on the drishti in the vritti. See, if it is priya, it is samosananda. Okay. Dance ananda, whatever you want to call it, Michael Jackson ananda, all this. Then if you take the hit drishti, kapalbhati ananda, usi mein maja aa raha hai. Then labhananda, है ना? Then न्यायानंदा, धर्मानंदा, सत्यानंदा. So as dharma and satya का requirement बढ़ता है, then the upper kriyas, activate. So yeah, but the buddhi is the one that has what is called a satya bodh. So the void is called satya because it does not undergo any change. Also, yeah, it is nitya and satya. So the first line in the book called Manav Vyavhar Darshan, which is the first darshan that is there in the literature, goes मैं है ना नित्य सत्य शुद्ध बुद्ध व्यापक रूपी है ना सत्ता का अनुभव पूर्वक व्यवहार दर्शन का विश्लेषण करता हूं. So it says मैं हूँ, me, the Atma, who is seeing the Nitya, Satya, Shuddha and Buddha. So Nitya because it is always there, Satya because it is the source for truth or being able to know truth, right? Because you see, that's the thing. If there is a physical law and if I have to be able to understand it without any filter, without any distortion, then the medium through which I'm able to see it has to be without distortion. Yeah, if I'm seeing you through these lenses and the lenses are distorted, I'm always going to see a distorted image. It can never be the truth. And hence it is called Satya. And it is called Shuddha because there is no tarang, there is no dabav, there is no change. So it is always the way it is. So it is called Shuddha and Buddha because it is the source of knowing in us. So just like in the material atoms are energized by being drenched in this void, the jivan, the self, has the ability to know because of being in the void. So our ability to know, like if you ask, where is our energy to do this chitran coming from? Where is my ability, energy to do this vishlation? Is it from the food we eat? Do you think we would be able to think more if you have nutritious food? No. If you no. If your brain is pumped with more glucose, no. Finally, only glucose and oxygen goes to the brain as nutrition. It's not a function of the. A lot of people who are very intelligent today didn't get enough to eat when they were young. खाने को नहीं मिला. And Ramanujan, Srinivasa Ramanujan is a good example. ये जितने भी, all the guys from here never had much to eat. So this infinite source of energy, right, in matter is seen as is called Gyan. So really, when we are saying there is Astitva Darshan, Gyan and Jivan Gyan, we are not importing anything. We are opening up to what is already existing. Hence, it is called Jagrati or awakening, which is why education is free. You see, because it has no form, it has no weight, you cannot sell it. You can only sell that which is material. And if you're a horrible man, you will sell people. That's what people do. Some people buy and sell people. It's called slavery or organ trade or even worse. Trafficking. Yeah. So it is a buddhi that is able to see it. And okay, so that's that. So that's really all the three gyans. So this is all we covered in 8 days. Even if you do this next day, this is all you have to cover. When you realize the whole thing, this is all you'll realize. Which activity of the self I see this from, to what extent, and how stable it is in me makes all the difference. ठीक है ना? So I came up with this diagram while working on this textbook. So from that textbook. So this is a set of the 30 values that we see. You don't have to. You can take the next few years. Take your time. Yeah.
Oh, the the continuous question this is. So you said once we get into love, we already have the other values in us.
Once we
go to the love stage, when
yeah, okay.
So basically when we are playing a role like as a teacher or as a friend or as a co-worker, so is that we have only certain values and not go to the love stage, or we can go to the love stage and have everything? And
it's possible to go to the love stage and have the others also, but we'll see that when we have love, then our status is quite elevated. And it's on the last slide. The state in which we are in right now is called Jeev Chetna or inhuman living. It is of two types. One is called Pashu Manav, the other is called Rakshas Manav. So the people who are running the show are called Rakshasas. Too bad. And the people who are at the receiving end are called Pashus. But really, so we are kind of nice looking Rakshasas. They're not that bad. And then you have what is called as Manav, Dev Manav, and Divya Manav. So the stages in the development of the consciousness goes through three stages. So when one has love, you are in what is called as divine consciousness. At that level, your utility is most well utilized by your abilities are most well utilized by guiding people who want gyan. But such a person, if they have a friend, then they're still going to have affection there. If such a person has a son or a daughter, they're still going to have mamta there. Yeah, and they will have, of course, trust and respect for everyone. So that's the way all the other mulyas are within love. So if you have love, you have the entire spectrum. So you will also be a father, you'll be a mother, you'll be a son, you'll be a daughter, and you will also be a teacher, unsurpassed, as in the whatever, the best teacher possible. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, cow only. Like cow, samosa, biryani, vada pav, constantly churning grass. What does the cow do? पशु को देखो पूरे दिन क्या करता है. It is trying to collect. And वो मिलने के लिए पैसा इकट्ठा करता है. And उसको बड़ा करने के लिए हॉर्स रेसिंग करता है. So that's how the meter goes up. That is Pashu Manav. Okay. So Pashu Manav we'll see it shortly. So these are the 30 values. What are the 30 values again? The values that I will experience in myself that are fulfilling for me. What are the values that are fulfilling for me? Happiness, peace, satisfaction, and bliss in the self. This is my dharma, innateness. Okay. And I have a confession to make. When I was writing the book 4 years ago, probably 4 years ago, was when I figured that these values are actually related to these dimensions. Before that, I was not clear about it myself. Yeah. And because it's not written that way in the text, it's written in the text, but the texts are written in such a way that it's actually like a puzzle that you have to solve. Some parts of the text are straightforward, but the others are actually like a Shri Yantra. You have to solve it. And via the process of solving it, you develop. I mean, if I give you a puzzle and give you a key at the back end, will you improve? No. You get a puzzle for which you don't have the key, and that's when something develops inside you. So that's how the texts are written. So the fulfillment in the self is as peace, happiness, peace, satisfaction, and bliss. We experience moments of happiness today. It's not zero. There are three types: the samosa, the child, and sometimes when we read or pick up something useful, but it is transitory and it is often interrupted by a conflicting thought which causes conflict. If the thought is not conflicting, we don't have a problem. I have diabetes. I'm eating a rasgulla. I don't remember that I have diabetes at that time. I'll be fine. While eating, if I remember I have diabetes, it's gone. Clear? So we up to contentment. This is contentment, not satisfaction. Contentment tak kabhi kabhi milta hai. Especially people who have lived their whole life, and you ask them, "Are you contented?" Whatever his aims are, he is able to fulfill. I was able to build a house. I don't have any debts. My children are well settled. I'm happy. I'm going to God. है ना? ये contentment hai, but he doesn't go to God. So you usually land up on the people tree, by the way. So happiness, peace, contentment, and bliss, which is why they try bags on the people tree in India or the banyan tree, the favorite trees. So these four are in the self. What are human values? Human values are those that I exhibit to all of human beings. Okay, here this is called Manav Mulya, Dhirta, Virta, Udarta, Daya, Kripa, Karuna. So when we first start, we start with Dhirta, Virta, Udarta, then you get Daya, then you get Kripa and Karuna. So these three put together are called love. So this is what I exhibit towards all human beings. When I'm living with people, then these are the 9. We already saw them, right? I'm living with people here, okay? And each one has an expressed value. When I'm living with matter, I have utility value and creative value. For instance, how to stitch this shirt. So it needs some utility value. I'm increasing the utility of this shirt by bringing it together. What is the creative value? I put buttons. So now it is increase the utility. I can open it. If it is too hot, I can open one button and I can open one button at a time. I don't have to pull it out of my head. So that's creative value. Like this band that on the mic is creative value. The utility stays the same. You can still speak through the mic. That is the utility of the mic, not the price. But what is the creativity is hanging on my, I don't have to hold it in my hand now. So it's made life a little easier. So that's what we use while production. This also is a source of happiness. When we do this, we feel good. Like he made soap, he must be feeling good. Yeah. But till the soap lasts. And then it transients. So you remember here we had said these are the sources of our satisfaction. One of them was things and work. Okay. So these really are the 30 values mapped to the Gun Swabhav Dharma. So as you can see, the tag at the bottom. So that's so the previous slide just shown in a different fashion. Okay, because this is the way it's represented in the darshan. This is called values, character, and policy. Mulya, charitra, naitikta. Same thing. 30 mulyas in the previous slide that we saw: living with family, character, living with society, chastity, self-worth, and kindness. Policy with social systems. वहां लिखा था मैंने, याद है? I had written it there. Values in the self, just a different representation. Values in the self, values with family, values with material, character with society, policy with social systems. Same thing, different representation. So it's called Mulya Charitra Naitikta Barabar Manvitapun Acharan. Okay. Human values are natural, so we don't have to memorize or by heart them. रटा मार के नहीं आता है. And I will be affectionate from tomorrow. I will be affectionate from tomorrow. 10 बार बोलो. May work for children, but after that it goes. They don't have to be enforced. They don't need to be enforced through greed. And 500 रुपए मिलेगा. And be affectionate, or you'll go to Swarga if you are generous. Doesn't work. You can't bribe your way into Swarga. Doesn't happen. Okay, they are a natural outcome of our understanding. They are universal. So, are they confined? You can ask these questions. I think the answer will be yes. Do you think what we discussed so far is confined to any faith, any sect, any region or country, only for Indians, gender specific, for males or females? Does it change with body size, color, shape, volume of the brain? No. Is it only applicable for rich or poor people or the middle class? No. Applicable to both educated and uneducated. You can convey the same thing to a tribal also. May not use a board and a fancy projector, and the language will be different, but you can get there. It may take maybe 100 days instead of 10 days, but you'll get there. Right? Both to village and city dwellers. Do you think the values would have been the same 2000 years ago? 1000 years from now? No change. Yeah. इसीलिए आदि से अंत तक. Okay, waiting to be discovered. So now we come back to the definition of the human being we had taken on day 3 when we started. What is the human being? Self and body, है ना? मनाकार को साकार करने वाला. So मनाकार को साकार करने वाला, we said materializing visualization. What does he do? We have ordinary aspirations. So this is what human beings have been able to do till date. We have been able to take our ordinary aspirations for food, clothing, and shelter. Okay, these are called Samanya Akanksha or ordinary. So we've excelled in food, food storage, okay, clothing, and shelter. Now no longer we have earthquake-proof houses, and cyclone-proof bridges also. Nothing changes us. And we also have extraordinary aspiration. These are called Mahatvakanksha. This is Dur Gaman, Dur Shravan, Dur Darshan. Basically distant radio communication, remote transport, and remote viewing. We've established all 3. Do you think there can be any other fundamental technology innovation that comes? No. जो भी होगा इसी का improvement होगा. I cannot see you when you're in America. Now I can see you. Only difference maybe I may be able to see a 3D hologram of you. but the ability is the same. I'm able to see you remotely. I'm able to have transport remotely. I'm able to listen to you remotely. Maybe I just need to touch the smartwatch now. Maybe if we wear a headgear and you call, and I think I want to receive the call will get received. All the drama can happen, but the basic thing would still be the same. So this is called manakar ko sakar karna, and this we said is manaswastata ka ashavadi. I want to realize harmony in the self. How do I do that? By living with justice in the family, with those values, by living with order in all our society, using naitikta, and by understanding the truth, which is orderliness in existence. Okay, so that I think should not be the end of our presentation. I thought it was going to be the end, but there's one more. I was going to say should be the end, and one more came up. Those of you want to listen, listen. Those of you want to take a break, you can shut your ears and see your phone just till this slide gets over. Okay. Stages in conduct transformation happens in three dimensions: drishti, vishaya, swabhav, perspective, motives, and innate nature. First is called Jeev Chetna, which is where all of us are. Okay. First, First one is called Jeev Chetna, inhuman conduct. What is our drishti? Likes, health, and profit. And we have deluded or unclear justice, order, and truth. Gochi hai. In Hindi we say, in Bombay we say gochi hai. Gochi ka matlab, it is mixed khichdi. Okay, there is a khichdi of it. This everybody knows. What is profit? No confusion. No confusion on health. Either confusion. Okay. What is the motive? If you have this drishti, what will be your motive? What do you want to acquire? Food, sleep, fear, and sex, nothing else. Okay, if there is overdrive of the likes, and we will have deformed wealth motive, progeny motive, and fame motive. That is, I want to be well known. Okay, but it is deformed. Why is it deformed? Because it will be mixed according to me. Where can we see this? Go to any village in the country, for that matter, even Bangalore. Whose posters do you see? Whose posters do you see? Local politician. Why is he up there for this? He fame. He is here for this. And not only him, those who paid for the poster will also be below it. Their children will also be below it. Those little boys with ties, he'll be smiling like this. You've seen in Maharashtra. There'll be like 5 photos. I'm like, why are you putting those kids' photos there, man? Let them live. In Pune, they banned it. These guys don't, maramari karte na. They come to. So we all want fame. We want to be well known. Like I'm taking this workshop, I may want to be secretly well known. Yeah. And getting recorded, I'll go to YouTube, get 1 million views. Acha, tum Sri Ram ho. That's fame motive. And it is a source for our happiness. It is a source. But it is deformed. When we have a child, it is a source for our happiness. It's called the progeny motive. It is called putrishna. And to be able to have wealth for security is called vitteshna or wealth motive. So, unlike animals, we are not happy only with food, sleep, fear, and sex. That's what distinguishes us from animals, basically. We need this. And this is what is driving the world. Nahi? What is driving the world? This. Not so much this. Ye background mein rehta hai. Okay? What is the swabhava when we have this kind of perspective and motive? It is dinta, hinta, and krurta. Wretchedness, cunningness, and cruelty with a sprinkling of this, like salt and pepper. Thoda sa. Once in a while, we'll see this. But mostly it is this. What happens when we reach that joint director level? Okay? Then it will start looking like this. Our drishti will be this Nyaya, Dharma, and Satya that I've been able to see. My motive now becomes this without the deformation. Okay? Because this will be whatever is suitable for human order. And my swabhava will always be this. I will never go back to this. You ruined my day. That is not happening here. That will happen here. So this is where we leave the mother-in-law behind. The father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother, and a pesky neighbor, irritating wife, they're all left behind here. What that means is, when I get into this level of consciousness, I'm able to see the world from here, and I become a drishta of this. ये समझ में आता है? I become a drishta. मैं इसका दृष्टा बन जाता हूँ. I am able to view this. For instance, if you see two people fighting with stones on the road, which I did in Hyderabad, they were not just fighting with stones, they were hitting each other with stones on the main road under a busy flyover, and vehicles were just passing by. Okay? And three people were sitting and watching, one fellow was taking photo on the camera. Nobody is trying to stop them. And they were just hitting each other. One fellow was hitting like this, that way. And I was thinking that, I mean, it's not good. So one is, when you see it, how would it be? I mean, would you enjoy that, or would you say, I'm not like that? For the people in this room, that's not me. I am never going to do that. That is Drishta Bhav. Secondly, if I have to do that, I would do it in a smarter way. I would not stand there and keep getting hit by that stone. I'd probably climb up the flyover and throw something on his head in a way that he cannot throw back. See, if people like us, just for the sake of, a small deviation, if we decide to steal, for example, if I want to rob a bank, you think I'll be caught? Very difficult to catch me. यदि मैं चोरी करूंगा, I am going to cover my tracks so well, you will not know what came and what went. But I choose not to put my energies there. Yeah. So it's not that we don't make mistakes out of fear. We don't make mistakes. We don't rob a bank. We don't molest somebody because we don't want to. Yeah. It's not that how many people in this room are not murdering people because they're afraid they'll be hanged. No, we are not murdering people because we don't want to do them. You see, the irony of the laws that we have, they are now increasing the jail sentence for rape to 20 years. वो करते समय उसको 20 साल थोड़ी याद रहता है, करने के बाद आता है. So punishment as a deterrence does not work if a human being sets his mind to do something. So when we reach this level, this becomes, when I said we leave the sister-in-law and the pesky wife and all that behind, we see कि वो इधर तक ही है, हम उसका दृष्टा बन जाते हैं. So now I'm able to deal with them. I'm able to deal with the world with this adapter. So this is वस्तुगत सत्य. I'm fixed here, है ना? मैं यहाँ पर स्थित हो जाता हूँ. Further, when we are able to understand, the void also, then it is called godly human with these motives. We let that be. And the last one is called divine human. This is called Divya Manav, Dev Manav, Manvyatapun Manav. This is called Amanav. So these are the stages in which our ability to see, our goals, and our swabhava undergoes change. So this is where you get love. Last band. This is affection, Vishwas, Samman, Sneh, Mamta, Kritajnata. Either it is blended. Conditional Vishwas, Samman, Sneh. So Rakshas Manav is two in this. The guy that has Swabhava of Dinta Pradhan, wretchedness, is called Pashu Manav. The guy that is Krurta Pradhan is Rakshas Manav. And then there are some people who are trying to get out of this. So they're kind of in the, what is it, no man's land. They're moving from Pakistan to India. They're like migrating, figuring out how to get there. So they're no longer here. They'll become cruel, but if really pushed very badly. Like when you fly into a rage. होता है ना? When so I'll explain to you when each book was written. The first book was published in 1972. First edition, second edition 1978. The remainder of the three major books, which is called the Darshan, were published between by 88. He had them ready. but he couldn't find anybody to publish them. Yeah, he was sitting alone in Amarkantak. There was nobody ready to print them. Nobody is interested. He's just sitting there. Who has heard of Amarkantak? He's sitting there, figured out existence, and he's just waiting or whatever, right? He's just so they printed in 2004, and then the last book was printed in 2007, which is a universal human constitution. Like you have a constitution in every country. If this is existence and if this is Chaitanya, this is consciousness, then this is the universal human constitution. She has written a universal human constitution. The total, no, so there were four, and then some are printed in 98. I just gave you a summary. I have a list. I'll walk us through. So, so what really, so what really happens is in the yeah, okay, yeah. I'll just keep it in the pocket here. It's getting angry. So what happens is in the human, yeah, and I'll just tell you one part, one side of the story. The other side we'll keep it for another day. Better? Okay. So what happens is in the human, we are able to understand what is justice, what is order, and the truth. But when you're reaching that level of consciousness in the understanding, some parts of the truth have been clear, and the other parts are still pending. Yeah, truth is like a range. For example, from understanding the laws of physics to how space operates, it's an entire range. So here, this much is pending. As a result, what happens is in the chitran, in the desire, there is still the desire to have wealth, have progeny and fame, but for the purpose of order, not for my own benefit, for the benefit of society. It's not a personal thing. I'm having begetting children and having wealth and this fame because it is the right thing to do. Okay, because it makes sense in the order. And what we are basically able to display hence as Swabhav is Dhirta, Virta, Udarta. All right. Then what happens is we fulfill these motives of Vitteshna and Putreshna. The wealth and progeny motive is fulfilled, both externally as well as internally. I become tripped. The only thing that will be left is this fame motive. And this fame motive is not for me to become famous, but to use my fame for the benefit of mankind. Ulta. Right now, I'm using mankind to become famous. Here, what I do is I'm using my fame for the benefit of mankind. So, what happens here is in living this nyay, is kind of in the background because I'm spending more time for society. The dharm drishti is employed more, not so much for. So this is a person who has fulfilled their responsibilities in the family and is now available for society with the gyan, not just running away from family with the gyan. Okay, here what happens is along with dhirta, virta, udarta, you also get daya. So you are able to now give gyan to the person who wants to understand. For instance, if you ask me, can I give gyan to anybody? No. What can I do? I can share and provide the logic and help somebody navigate to where I have navigated. That's my limitation. And if I've studied up to MTech, I can teach you MTech. I can't teach you the PhD syllabus, even if I know it, because I'm yet not a PhD. Okay. So here they're able to give you daya. And then what happens is you are able to understand the Antim Satya, that I am drenched in the void. When one understands that, then there is no limitation by motive. So even this fame motive is over. And you can then also give Kripa and Karuna, which means it's called compassion. So when we are compassionate, what really we are able to do is we are able to improve somebody's ability to understand and their ability to express it. And so that's the why it drops. That's the reason it drops. Depending on what is more in priority in the drishti and hence in the motive and in the swabhav. So this is a penultimate development that one can achieve. Okay, so the journey from here to here, this is where we are. The journey from here to here is really from intermittent sukh, intermittent shanti, and vague santosha to predictable sukh, predictable shanti and santosha. From here, santosha gets complete and ananda starts. Here, ananda gets complete and it becomes paramananda. So, Paramananda, Atmananda, Chidananda, Samosananda, Confusananda. That's the. क्योंकि इधर से निकल गया किधर जाना पता नहीं, वही कंफ्यूज आनंद है, कहाँ जाना है समझ में नहीं आता. आई एम रीडिंग दिस बुक, दैट बुक, ट्राइंग टू डू दिस, प्लांट ट्रीज, गो फॉर मेडिटेशन वर्कशॉप, कुंडली, आई एम ट्राइंग टू अवेकन सम whatever, some sphere, some cross inside me, वो सब इधर हो रहा है. Okay. When we lived with Nagarajji, I saw all of this in action at different points in time. If you are getting scolded right, left, and center, you are getting karuna. If he's being very nice to you, you are getting dirta. So, for example, he kept us, for me and many others, but I can tell about ourselves. We were given food, clothing, shelter, medicine, and gyan for 4 years. So there was nothing I could give him back. Food, clothing, shelter, medicine, and gyan. अभी क्या बचा? Zero. Food includes coffee 3 times a day, not some gruel and all that. Breakfast, and nice breakfast. I mean, उतना breakfast मेरे घर पे नहीं बनता है. I mean, if idli is made, there will be chutney and sambar made. If vada is made, there will be proper sambar made. And it is never repeated over a period of 20 days. Like it has not been repeated in this workshop. आज पहली बार idli repeat हुआ. First dish that was repeated. Huh? Ragi idli. That is also because ये 10-day workshop हो गया. Till 7 days they knew the menu. We extended it by 2 days. So we saw everything in action. Like Satyaji was asking, what is kripa? What is daya? Daya is somebody wants to understand and they have the patrata. Patrata means the ability to absorb. They have the need. Bhuk hai. And I give them the vastu. I give them the gyan. That is called daya. Somebody has understood. Now he feels I am become very big. I am a gyani. So then in kripa what will come is cut his head off. And show him that he doesn't know anything. That is kripa. Basically, we are increasing the ability of that person to go ahead. Because if I assume I have already understood, मैं रुक गया. I can't go ahead. In the traditional, what we've this went off and came back on, something happened. In the traditional setup, these conduct are not visible. It goes mauna. In our country, you reach the state of samadhi. So in samadhi, it is called swanta sukha. So you are in a blissful state and it's not getting expressed as acharan. So the blissful state is actually anand, and so according to Nagarajji, he reached the state of samadhi. He experiences anand. He doesn't say he experienced anand, but that's the inference that I can draw. But you don't feel like doing anything. He says when I used to come out of the state of samadhi, मैंने खा लिया तो भी ठीक है, नहीं खाया तो भी ठीक है. Even if I ate, it is okay. Even if I don't eat, it is okay. So there is no feeling that I'm a family man, I have to teach somebody. You don't feel like doing anything. There is no ichha. One is in the state of samadhi, ichha, vichar, asha are shut off. So here there is ichha, and it's a positive ichha. It is an anasakt ichha without rag and dvesh. This is called Madhyasth. Okay. So that's the reason why, yeah, we've probably not been able to see Daya, Kripa, and Karuna so far. Probably Daya and Kripa, but in very different ways that we don't understand, that cannot be taught. For instance, when Nagaraji goes to his family's guru, Sri Chandrasekhar Bharati, who's the Shankaracharya of Sringeri at that time, who was very famous for the fact that he had samadhi. It was known that he had samadhi. He said the first day when I went to meet him, so he feels he needs the answer to this question. This is the only one thing he needs to know in his life. He has a roaring pencil factory business in Vishakhapatnam, has a very good business running in Mysore, very well to do. But this question is bothering him about the fundamental in Advaita Vedanta, right? That the conclusion doesn't make sense. And so he's told, you go meet somebody who has samadhi, they'll give you the answer. So he first goes to Tiruvannamalai. There, Ramana just tells him in one line, you have to see samadhi, and that's it. He goes with somebody called Kavya Kanta Ganapati Shastri. They would be aware of him. Kanta Ganapati Shastri was family friend to Nagarajis. He is the one who discovered Ramana and gave him the title Maharishi. Okay, you can look him up. He has a page on Wikipedia, by the way. Somebody put him up. He has a page. Somebody put his page, basically. And so Nagaraji says, when I went to Sringeri, Chandrasekhar Bharati is like in a state of trance. He's in dhyana. He stands there for 8 hours. Okay. And he's just standing there. He said, Chandrasekhar Bharati opened his eyes, he just looked at him and said, go to the banks of the Narmada and do bhajan, and shut his eyes again. That's it. There was no question. He didn't ask any question, nothing. So Nagaraji starts walking back. He prepares to leave Sringeri, and then he realizes that the Narmada is actually 1800 kilometers long. It occurs to him, which bank? And then he thinks, if I go back, I don't know when he'll open his eyes again. I might as well figure it out myself when he walks away. And so he comes back to Agrahara, which is in Hassan district, and he tells his wife that we have to go. So that is Daya, but it's not expressed, it's not defined. I mean, what he's getting, direction from his guru on where to go and what to do, is really that. He also says that when he reached Amarkantak and he slept the first night, after about 2 or 3 days, Chandrasekhar Bharati came in his dream and asked him whether he finds the place suitable. Suitable. तुमको ये जगह अनुकूल लगता है कि नहीं, ठीक लगता है कि नहीं, सपने में आके पूछ. उसके बाद यहाँ उनका शरीर शांत हो गया. ही आई थिंक 1952 में शांत हो गया उनका. देन द नेक्स्ट वन इज विद्या तीर्थ स्वामी. ही टू हैड समाधि. उनका एक अच्छा वो है biography that I read. I got it in Sringeri, but you can also buy it from the place in Chennai. There is a mutt somewhere on Mylapore Road, which describes the Agam Tantra Upasana method to Samadhi. And it is so mystical and so, I mean, it's not something that we can even practice or even teach, leave alone hope to attain. It's yeah. So the other forms, I mean, the reason I gave all that story was I won't be able to say that there was no Daya Kripa Karuna, because it does seem like, but not in forms that we can describe and recognize and understand or explain. Like Vidya Tirtha writes in his biography, I'm just quoting what he wrote in his biography, okay? So I'm not saying it happened or didn't happen. Like the CIA, we can neither confirm nor deny that this incident happened. To be on the safe side, Vidya Tirtha writes that when Chandrasekhar Bharati chooses him as the next Shankaracharya and he comes to Sringeri as a young boy, he's 17. After about 6 months, when he's sleeping at night, he says, Lord Shiva came and started teaching me the yogasana for 5 hours every day at night. So the entire night he would not sleep. His body would be lying and he would be practicing yogic postures. And he said these were postures that were not written in any book anywhere. They are not to be found in any printed book. So he would do them secretly in his room, because then people would come and ask, where did you learn that from? And then he didn't know what answer to give, because it would spook them out. So so people describe and write about these experiences, and they're not lying, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, whether somebody would want to believe them or not is secondary. But how do you teach that in a classroom? I mean, just imagine where our classroom is right now, and what are these people talking of? It's the gulf is too. I mean, how will you go to the NEP and say you teach this? What will you say? What is there to teach? क्या पढ़ाओगे इसमें? National education policy nikala na. His son called me, so I went. Arranged his son at environment for 12 minutes. And they had already made the policy. They called us, they had called these people to find out, what are the practices. We had no practice, we had only had theory. So I presented one slide on integral view of education. Same thing. Intellectual, behavioral, spiritual, I pumped everything into it. It took 12 minutes. Then Kasturi Rangan looked at me and asked, is it being practiced anywhere? I said, we are still figuring out how to write the content. We just got the theory right now, the knowledge. Uh, the other people were there. Art of Living was there. Satyasai Institution was there. There was some Islamic foundation from Assam. A lot of people. Everybody had 30,000 students, 45,000 students. Art of Satyasai had 63,000 students. When it was our turn, I said 201. Which is a small school. Those who and what practices did they have? Going to the Gaushala to help out, do yagna, reciting Sanskrit shlokas, mantras. So this is the stages in conduct transformation. Okay, and this is again just summarizing our journey for the last 8 days. We understand myself, understand existence, understand human conduct. Human conduct is knowledge of human living that consists of two parts: wisdom and behavior. It's called Vivek and Vigyan. So we have ethics, value, and policy. We already covered this. Just a different way to represent it. Okay, you can choose any method to understand and navigate. This part we've already done. So that brings us to the summary of this Manvitapurn Acharan Gyan, out of which we covered only three values: respect, Saman, Vishwas, Saman, and Sneh. We covered trust, respect, and affection, and the issues in relationship. And I think we just gave an overview of the seven, uh, relationships. And we did cover the three regulatory niyams: the Bauddhic niyam, the Samajik niyam, and the Prakritik niyam briefly. So, as you can see, it needs more time and effort if one is interested. Uh, the good thing about this is that even if somebody doesn't have the appetite for the entirety of what I just, kind of uh, probably displayed, is people are able to get incremental benefits by going through the workshops in different forms. This particular workshop was purposefully designed in this manner. I felt that the core of the thing at least should come out without making it too heavy, without making it very verbose, and bringing in all the tough terminology, seemingly tough terminology. Um, so a lot of people who attend the introductory sessions are able to see benefits in becoming more self-aware, in improving in their relationships, in minor and also major ways, in getting rid of some kinds of pain. Like I said, we've seen one couple that are actually divorced come back. People becoming more environmentally conscious, becoming more aware of their environment footprint. People leaving beer business and taking to organic farming after listening to the 7-day session. People quitting their jobs. It's not that that's a positive thing, but even before really getting into some of these further technicalities. um, yeah, so we couldn't cover the portion on prosperity. Usually that's helpful for ordinary folks like us, because money is a big part of our lives, yeah, whether we like it or not. And to understand our relationship with money and the psychological as well as the practical aspect, maybe we can spend some time and I can try that. The only thing that I've not covered is the order in society. So I won't cover it. I'll just tell you what the syllabus is. It is usually covered in the other Jivan Vidya sessions, but I didn't take it here because I decided to take a different, as you can see, I actually got overs over there. There's so many blocks. We I'll just quickly walk you through it. So then it's just over, and then we can break for tea and come back quickly for the summary, just so you know what's pending. Sorry. This is I have a Chinese software and an American software on this. भारतीय ज्ञान को खोलने के लिए चाइनीज सॉफ्टवेयर लग रहा है. We don't have a PowerPoint software yet. Indian PowerPoint software नहीं है. ठीक है, अभी यूनिवर्सल है, व्यापक वस्तु हर जगह है. ये इंडियन विदेशी का फाइट छोटा है, टाइम पास करने के लिए ठीक है. यू आर हैविंग टी एंड यू हैव नथिंग टू डू, लेट्स बैश द ब्रिट्स, और that they came here and did that. But finally it's the same Jivan and we are benefiting from all their inventions. We'll fly by aeroplane, but we'll not like the guy who designed it. ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. Then don't climb the aeroplane. Boycott it completely. So the darshan talks of society and the world order, which is called as an undivided human society, अखंड समाज and a सार्वभौम व्यवस्था. इसका अवधारणा प्रस्तुत करता based on this understanding. And what is the premises for it? The premises is, if a human being understands existence, understands himself, and is able to live in this human conduct, then what is the kind of world order and societal order that he will work towards? Okay. So even these Jivan Vidya workshops that we're taking in very small ways, not even tiny, minuscule, nano way, is to be able to do that. All right. So we saw that these are the four. I won't describe this. I'll just run you through it. So this is an old slide, but basically intellectual resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. These are the four things that we said are the human aim. Okay. And really, if you see, we're only working for material things. We don't even have prosperity today. And the solution to the problems in society turns out that knowledge is missing. Fundamental problem is understanding or knowledge is missing, not lack of resources and all that, because there are enough resources. There is enough money, right? The top 100 richest people in the country own as much wealth as the rest of the 22% of the population. 100 people own as much as 22%. Population कितना इंडिया का? 140 crore. 22% कितना हुआ? 28 crores. 100 people own more than the rest of the 28 crores. So there's a severe concentration of wealth, and modern economic theory is not able to fulfill that. I mean, not able to give fulfilling answers of how that will undergo a change. And this is really because of the Labh Drishti. If you have infinite Icha along with Labh Drishti, you'll have infinite wealth. So it's a psychological answer. So the answer to global economics problem is actually a psychological answer, not a monetary policy answer. The monetary policy will do what is anyways doing, and the psychology will only change through education. That education that can change the psychology of a human being, right? So these are some exercises, but really this is what it looks like. So when we have individual resolution and enough people have individual resolution, there's prosperity in the family. When enough number of families have prosperity, you have trust in society. And when society as a whole is able to have trust, we have coexistence with nature. So this is the road up. We can't fix the problem here without fixing this. Because I'll keep planting trees, you'll keep cutting them. I'll keep saving them, you'll keep selling them. Yesterday in Virajpet, they found out 100 crore worth of rosewood and teak trees were cut. एक नहीं दो नहीं 100 crore का वैल्यू का in Virajpet. Where Virajpet? Coorg. 100-year-old teak trees. Who sold it? District forest officer. The guy was supposed to protect it. So came in the news. So what does the darshan provide? It provides a understanding of universal human knowledge based on which we understand universal human education, universal human conduct, and universal human values. So our course that runs there is actually called UHV, small chutney called UHV. These are the 5 dimensions of society. The first one is called education and sanskar, which you would have in a school. The second is called Nyaya Suraksha, instead of today's justice systems that will ensure humane justice. You have Swasthya Sayam, understanding holistic health based on self-discipline, and we have uh, socially meaningful and environmentally friendly production work. Not just environment friendly, but make something that is socially meaningful also, like soaps and whatever ragi mudde. So Utpadan Karya, right? And then you have Vinimay Kosh, which is just and fair exchange system. So these are really the 5 aspects that we work on. And I'm here on behalf of this system. This is what I'm doing right now. In this adult education, we have adult education, and then we have school education. So some people in our group work on school education. I focus more on adult education for 20% of my time. I've devoted 20% of my time to this. Remaining 80% of my time is split up into 20% into family, 20% for studies, and 20% I expel oil that we eat. That's all. Don't ask where the money comes from. So we'll take this up when we discuss education tomorrow. Issues in current education. I think all of us know the issues, but really, now this is an analysis of the problems in education. This will take us a day. If you have to do this entire thing, it'll take one day. No, we're finishing, so we can go and have tea. This is just to tell you what you missed. Huh? Space bar break. So then it also talks of governance systems, not just the 5 aspects of human society, but how will governance look like? What will governance look like? Should it be a dictatorship or democracy? So there are some questions. We won't cover all this. We never had time. But really, I'll just take you to the end. Oh, imagine how much time all this would have taken. Huh? Yeah. So just 2 pictures. So this is how it works. You have knowledge, wisdom, science leading to humane conduct. We are able to live in family and society. Then you work in the 5 dimensions of society that gives rise to universal orderliness. So this Christ gives rise to undivided society, and this is called universal order. So the darshan gives this vision of how it's possible based on this knowledge. So those of us who are used to, and this is the picture of the tenfold uh, proposed. It's in Hindi, but from a family to a group of families to a district, let us say mandal level, block level, district level, state level, international level. So world family and world family systems through participative democracy. Okay, but of people who are in the joint director level. If you take a Pashumana, Rakshasmana, you will get what is happening today. They'll eat up all the money and go back home. ठीक है ना? So that's the end. So we'll have tea and come back and just take open questions. Photograph, what's the time? Photo lena hai na? Okay. So the laptop will be shut now. No more laptop. We'll just have open. We'll use the laptop if we need it for some question. Okay. So the subsequent workshops levels will cover these. But if you go to other Jeevan Vidya workshops, you will be able to cover the 5, education and all that. We typically do that.